Deion Sanders said West Virginia was not better collectively than Colorado. Well, I can't tell. I cannot tell, baby.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am the host. This is Locked On West Virginia, baby, where we're talking about a beatdown, man. But it's not quite a beatdown. But how about this West Virginia Mountaineers team as they get another win, second in a row? This team is heading in the right direction, man. And this has been a great game to watch today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it yourselves. Thank you for jumping in here with me as we go post-game on Colorado. This episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Right now with FanDuel, you can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the FanDuel app today to get started. And thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen, and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network where we talk about your team, the Mountaineers, every single day. I got to be honest, man. Deion Sanders said post-game, West Virginia was not collectively better than Colorado. That's what he said, his words. Maybe not. Maybe Omarion and all these 6'5", 6'8" players they have, maybe they are more talented than us. But they ain't tougher. That's for sure. They ain't tougher. They're not in better condition. I promise you that. So you can be the most talented team. Somebody tell Deion Sanders, the most talented team doesn't always win. And that's something he hasn't been able to get through his head since he got to Colorado. You're always trying to buy the best player. I'm going to get off my soapbox. That really aggravated me that he said that before the game. It worked on me all game long. So I've been pissed about that all game. I get it. You're supposed to be confident. I get that. But to tell the TV folks they can run with that, to me, is a sign of disrespect. And it's exactly what we're used to in West Virginia. People looking down on us. People looking down on us, thinking they're better than us. Okay, you can. You better hope you're not meeting us in year 2 and year 3 and beyond. We'll see who's more talented soon enough. But I promise you this, you wasn't tougher. So one team had hands on hips, the other smoking you down the field towards the end of that game. Scotty Fox may not be more talented than Juju, but I'll take him over Juju. Dior Hubbard may not be more talented than whatever stable of backs you have, but I'll take him. Hell, I'll even take the right side of our offensive line over your offensive line. This West Virginia team proved to me today that they are a tough football team, both in mind, body, and spirit. Regardless of what Deion Sanders thought he had to say pregame, doesn't matter, because West Virginia wins this football game and they are in the victory column. And that's all I truly care about. 29-22. 7-point win. West Virginia covers. Good teams cover, right? Good teams cover. West Virginia covers here in a game that was up and down for the Mountaineers. And what obviously we're going to talk about here, Arizona State, we got them next week. Are they ripe for the picking with Jeff Sims at quarterback? They've let their quarterback not playing right now. Could they be a team that West Virginia could pick off next week? And then, you know what? You've got to pull off the upset of the century in the last game of the year. I get that, but we'll deal with that when we get there. Did West Virginia find a secret weapon today? And Curtis Jones Jr., we'll talk about that next segment. And then, as we're talking right now, this is 2 in a row for a West Virginia team that, if you would have told me this was the case at any point this year up until last week, I would have probably laughed at you. But here we are. Scotty Fox throws 2 interceptions in this game, but overall he did manage the game well. 17 of 28, 200 yards and a touchdown. Dior Hubbard, 64 tough yards in this game. And he also had 94 receiving yards, guys, which on that wheel route, there was a lot of that, as far as him being wide open, and just a big chunk of those yards came there. Scotty Fox Jr. had 58 yards on 17 carries in this game. I think that was wearing on him a little bit. Sincere Bowers looked good, I thought, in a little bit of carries he got. 9 carries, 33 yards. And then you had 13, 12, 9, and 9 yards for Rodney Gallagher, Jeff Weimer, and Curtis Jones Jr., which he had 2 touchdowns, obviously on the ground. We'll talk about him in a second. In the receiving room, Dior Hubbard, 6 catches for 94 yards. We talked about that. Nobody else had more than 2 catches. So the receiving room didn't play as well as I thought they could today. We've got a Christian Hamilton sighting, though, 2 catches in this game. So, once again, another odd outing as far as from the receiving room. But I was impressed overall with just their willingness to block, because they played well in the blocking game or the run game. Obviously, looking at Cam Vaughn here, he had a rough day today. I think this was his worst performance as West Virginia player. But you know what? That's okay, man, because he's been really consistent for us all year long. And a guy I certainly think has nothing but, at least in my opinion, the sky's the limit for him, right? So he's got nothing but potential left on the table for him. And he's young still. I think people forget that. He's only a sophomore. He's got a lot of growing left to do. And I think today he was challenged, and it happens, right? On defense, what a performance by this West Virginia defense. Maybe the best overall performance of the year. You can certainly throw the Pitt game in there. My neck's hurting here. But 7 sacks, 1 by hair. We'll take it. But overall, man, really impressed with this team. As you see, Fred Perry, Darren Lewis, Reed Carrico, a lot of guys played really well in this game. Fred Perry frustrates me at times, guys. I even put a post out about it. You never know when he's going to have a big personal foul or a penalty that hurts the team. But at the same time, he's obviously you love and hate the things that he does at the same time. I think that's the way I would put it. But overall, man, really impressed with Fred Perry and all that he does for the Mountaineers. Don't want to take anything away from him. Reed Carrico, Ben Bogle, who, as you guys know, I harped on all offseason. I said Ben Bogle has a chance to be an elite player. I really feel that way. I felt that way since before the year, watching his tape at Southern Illinois. And today, I think he showed you guys a little bit of what he can do. He'll be back next year. Watch out for Ben Bogle in that linebacking unit next year. He has got a ton of potential. So, he's another guy that you look for. And then they're starting to pop out, right? One guy here, another guy there, another guy over here, Curtis Jones here, Dior Hubbard there, Scotty Fox here. And you're starting to see the semblance of a team that could come together for next year. Maybe it's not all going to leave. Maybe we're going to lose some guys to the portal, sure. But you've got a Cam Vaughn here at this spot. You've got a Lanning Livingston and a Nick Cray here on the offensive line. You've got a Dior Hubbard and running back. You've got a Scotty Fox at quarterback, or if they go out and bring a super talented quarterback from the portal in, I don't know, but whichever one happens. I mean, I'm not against Scotty by any means. I'm just saying we keep hearing they may go get somebody still, so to compete with him. So maybe they do. And that's not, and then there are other receivers too. We also saw Christian Hamilton today. Ryan Ward showed up with the touchdown. And so you start to see on offense, this team is not going to have to be totally reworked next year. On defense is a little bit different story, but there are guys over there. Curtis Jones Jr., Ben Bogle, right? There are some guys over there. So, I think it was brutal at times today, but I'm positive on this performance because you got the win. It's the Big 12. This Colorado team's beaten Iowa State. They hung with BYU. Teams that have blown us out, they hung with. They get paid too. They got tons of 5-star players. Jordan Seaton's a 5-star player. Juju Lewis is a 5-star player. Omarion Miller is a 5-star player. I don't want to hear it. They may not be being coached well. Actually, when I went on the Buff show the other day, he said, well, maybe on this show, he said there's 7 coaches that have no prior coaching experience on that Colorado team. So it could be that they're not being coached. potentially. That's exactly right, Drum Dude. A little humble pie for Deion Sanders. Exactly. Deion Sanders gets his humble pie today. There's no way West Virginia collectively is better than Colorado. That eats at me, man. That eats at me. Shut up. That elitist attitude, man. It's exactly what I hate. And I'm happy to be West Virginia, and you can be Colorado, and you can go back to the mountains and be up in the elevation, and we'll see you next year. I don't care. Like at the end of the day, I like our guys. I like our coach. Our coach represents us. You got hired out of you're not even a Colorado guy, right? So I don't want to throw too much shade here. I just think to say that and then let it be aired like that is like, you can feel that way behind closed doors for sure. I get it. You're supposed to. But to let them air it out, wow. Surely they had to ask if they were allowed to say that. Or maybe it's assumed with Coach Prime. He doesn't really, he's not one of those guys that care really what people think either. I'm sure he doesn't care what I have to say. But like I said, you can have Juju Lewis, you can have Omarion Miller. I'll take Cam Vaughn. You can have Joe Smith or whatever his name is. I'll take Ryan Ward. Ryan Ward looks really good right now. Give me Curtis Jones Jr. What the hell? Secret weapon for West Virginia. That's what we talk about next. Richard with a genius move, and what he's done through his whole career is make genius moves. We're going to talk about it next. This episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by our friends at DoorDash. Right now at DoorDash, guys, time to look and crown this week's MVP, who delivered, powered by DoorDash. Just like you can win every Saturday with DoorDash Streaks, saving more every time you order. These players delivered when it mattered most. Let's break it down. For West Virginia, Dior Hubbard delivered in a big way. He had 94 receiving yards, 64 rushing yards, and really was the difference in this game. He got the first down to win the game. He came back from injury at times. And if you want to say anybody on this team is on a streak right now, when the pressure was on, 4 running backs are down, you're brought in. Maybe the season didn't go how you thought it would go. He looked so good in the spring game. And now here you are, the starting running back and looking like the starting running back next year. You come through, no hesitation, no delay. If you've been watching week after week, this performance wasn't a fluke from Dior Hubbard. He is on a streak. And just like Dior Hubbard for the West Virginia Mountaineers on a streak, DoorDash delivers your Saturdays with DoorDash Streaks. You save more every time you order, stack it up all season, and you could serve up $250, including $100 in DoorDash credits. Order this Saturday, keep the streak alive, and fuel your game day with DoorDash with the terms apply. Promo code through 11/18. Look, you guys are going to judge me. If Rich watches this, this is the first regular do I've had in a couple weeks. Segment 2, let's crack a regular do. And this is like, for me, this is as crazy as I get. I don't drink, smoke, do anything. So this is as crazy as I get. Let's crack a do. So thank you, guys. I'm going to get this some coldness. That feels good on my face. Woo! Let's go, baby. I tell you what, it feels like a weight lifted off my shoulders. Just the fact that we won 2 games in a row. I live and die with these performances. I don't know about you, but there was times, especially in the early years, I would be depressed for days, sometimes a week over the losses, because at that point in time we were sometimes top 5, top 10, in the country, and every loss was like, you lose one game, you don't even go to the BCS, and it's like so much pressure. I couldn't imagine being a player or coach. But anyways, Rich Rodriguez over his career has done pretty ingenious things, right? We all know the stories of Pat White. He was going to be a DB, and then he just turned, he comes to West Virginia and becomes the greatest quarterback, not only in school history, but a top 15 or 20 quarterback, maybe in college football history. Over the last 25 years anyway. And then, he takes a guy like Cam Vaughn, who was a quarterback in high school, kind of the reverse of Pat's situation, who was a defensive player, made quarterback. He takes a quarterback in Cam Vaughn and makes him receiver, and he becomes one of the best receivers, I think, in the Big 12. He's still got a lot of potential. even though he played bad today. He had a rough day. But, once again, Rich Rod, understanding personnel, understanding what it takes to win. Tough guys. I think Curtis Jones Jr. should get more carries. I actually think he has a future at running back. I saw it today. He's a lot like Ty Edwards. They're very similar. I think Curtis Jones is exactly what we need right now. 1,000% what we need right now at running back, because I think a lot of our running game is we're just not breaking the initial tackles at the line of scrimmage. Like Sincere and guys like that. Sincere Bowers will be really good next year when we have an offensive line that can actually create a crease for him. Right now, these guys aren't these aren't between the tackles kind of guys at all. They need a crease, and then they can work off that. Curtis Jones Jr. is the opposite. He just needs a little hole to bust through. And we saw it today, 2 touchdowns, and he was the difference in the game. Incredible performance. Very smart by Rich Rodriguez. You tease it for weeks, and then when you needed it the most, you pull that out of your hat in a game that keeps you bowl eligible. And listen, it's almost like we have only won 4 games. I'm so pumped about this team right now. And yeah, I don't think we're going to go to bowl game this year. Texas Tech just absolutely destroyed BYU. I was wrong on that pick. So it's going to be tough to beat them, right? But let's not forget, Texas Tech has been beaten this year. They can have an off day, but it's going to be really tough for us to do so. We get that. But, that's way down the road. I just want to give Rich Rod a lot of credit, because there have been times this year where I wanted to pull my hair out with some of the personnel decisions. And I think that, on the offensive line, Jack McNeil, I don't understand. I don't understand the decision to continue to play Kima Makaniole and Tykees Crawford beside each other. At this point, it's almost like a joke. The offensive line played well at times in this game, but there were at least a handful of plays where it was either Makaniole or Crawford that just got beat in one man-to-man beat, just totally destroyed. Or Tykees Crawford, he gets tricked a lot. Like, they simulate a pressure, and so he thinks he's going to have to get a guy here, and that guy backs out in coverage, and then the guy on his right goes right around him. Like that kind of stuff. So I think teams have caught on to the fact that you can mess with Tykees Crawford like that, and it's happened multiple times. I told you guys before the year, the big knock whenever I called Mr. Grimm or Mudd or something like that, the former offensive line coach at Charlotte. I called him and asked him about Tykees Crawford. He said the only thing that's really holding him back, it's not necessarily a physical thing with him, it's a mental thing with him. He was having trouble remembering what to do at Charlotte. He told me this before the year. I promise. So I knew that was an issue, but what we talked about was in Rich Rod's offense, you just line up and go. You line up and go. That's why it was a fit for him. But in this situation, especially when you have to slow it down or run clock, or maybe you got sacked, so you're not going to run tempo after a sack. Colorado was able to simulate pressure, and all a simulated pressure is faking a blitz. That's what that is, right? Or you simulate a pressure here, but it comes from another place. So it's like, just imagine two guys on a string with each other. One guy goes in, the other guy goes out, kind of thing, right? So Tykees Crawford's looking at the guy on his left. He acts like he's going to come at him, so he's hyper-focused on that, and it's just like, whoop. This guy just goes right around him, and that was a big play in the game. So I think, and then Makaniole just got flat out beat a couple times in one-on-one. He's okay in the run game. Like, he's okay in the run game, but I think that's why he's in for the most part, if that's the only thing I can come to grips with. But the pass protection, man, is really bad at times there. And he's such a nice guy. You listen to him on the microphone, excellent guy. I don't want to sit up here week after week and talk about a kid or, however old he is, but I don't want to, that's not what I want to do. But good Lord, man, it's obvious to everybody. Go look at Skylar Callahan's speed. He talks about it all the time. Those two together on the right side of the O-line is so bad. We're winning in spite of that at this point, not because of it. That's my true belief. And the only person I can blame is Jack McNeil. I mean, maybe Rich Rod has to okay this, but he's going off of what his guy says. Did we not have a lot of success last week and put up like 250 rushing yards with McAnally out of the game? I know he played some. Maybe I have to go back and watch it again. I didn't pay attention because we were so good. Maybe he did play last week and I'm just not realizing it. I thought Walter Youngbear played right guard some last week. Maybe I'm wrong on that. I'll have to go back and look. Anyways, let's move on here. The defense did play well, Zach, and I thought that was the true difference in the game. Had we played a team if we played Houston last week, let's say, and that offensive performance showed up like for them, like it did for Colorado, like it didn't for Colorado, then we might lose this game. The final score was where I actually, what's crazy is my final score was really close. I almost got it right. That was about 2-3 points off. After the break, guys, we'll finish talking about this game and also about next week. Arizona State, West Virginia is looking to stay bowl eligible, man. And if you'd have told us that a couple weeks ago, we'd have laughed you out of the building. This episode of Locked On West Virginia going to be brought to you by our friends at Supply House. With Supply House, right now, guys, when the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward today with Supply House. You can order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow, as over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business can be yours. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting projects, while the industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. The Trade Master perks is like priority shipping, dedicated support. It actually makes the whole process a lot smoother. Come with us, guys. Join the free Trade Master program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com today. Sign up for free and use the promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people and real service. We back. All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining in. A lot of people in here right now. I would ask you to subscribe if you're new. Like the video, please, and drop a comment below. Let me know. Do you think West Virginia walks into Lubbock, Texas, with a shot at bowl eligibility? I would love to know how you feel about it. Do you think that's at home actually? So does Texas Tech walk into Morgantown with West Virginia having a shot to go to bowl eligibility? I would love to know what you guys think about that, because that is going to be an interesting game just because Texas Tech has everything riding on it. They can't lose. They can't afford to lose it. So anyways, let's talk a little bit more about this game really quick. Obviously, the defense guys, I talked a little bit about it, touch a little bit more on it. We'll go to player stats one more time here. I think probably, in my opinion anyways, the biggest difference in this game, obviously the pass rush for West Virginia, 7 sacks. Let's go over everybody who had a sack in this game. Some guys had multiple. Reed Carrico had 2 sacks. Ben Bogle had 2 sacks. Ben Cutter had a sack. So our linebackers all get a sack. Then you've got Devin Grant with another sack. That's like 5 or 6 on the year. Marshawn Oxley had a sack. I thought there was one more. Maybe it didn't count as a sack. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They said 7 on the broadcast. Yeah, Curtis Jones Jr. had a sack. Where is that at? He had a sack. Where is it? I'm not seeing it on here. Yeah, he should. That's a misrepresentation on the report. Curtis Jones Jr. also had a sack by the hair. So that's a 7 sacks on the day. this pass rush, guys, continues to. It's weird how hit and miss it's been this year. I mean, there have been games like Pitt where we've had this, or hell, even against Ohio, we had some of it. And Robert Morris. Maybe it's when we go against really good offensive lines. Maybe that's what it is. We're just not. I think here's what somebody told me the other day. It's Zach Alley's scheme in a lot of these cases that's creating the sacks. Their players are good too, and a lot. Not saying we have bad players, but if we, it's just a prelude to what this scheme can accomplish, especially when you get really good players. Right now, I think we're doing it with power four players in some spots. Some where they're average players, like just regular starters, but not like elite players. Like name a guy on the defense that's really good, like Fred Perry or something. But like we don't have a Fred Perry at every position, right? So when we get some really, like we thought Jamoy Robinson would be that, and he has shown up a little more, but certainly not the pass rushing. He doesn't have 8 sacks right now like we thought he would, or 10. So overall though, Zach Alley called an amazing game for yet another week in a row. And, we just have to pray to God with all these head coaching openings that he doesn't get one. I don't think he'll get one this year because of how bad the defenses look, but it's not a secret that he's close. So we just have to hope we can keep him for a couple years, right? Otherwise, it would be a devastating blow to lose him after, when you're building into year 2. That's just my personal worry. It's probably not going to happen, but I'm a worrywart when it comes to that kind of stuff. I think about that stuff all the time. All right. Let's go. All right. So I think at the end of the day, I don't have any moderators in here right now. Is there people in here trolling, guys? It's okay. Don't pay attention. It's all right. I've got certain people blocked that maybe I can't see. So if they are bothering you, just type their name in the comment and I'll have them banned the next time I get a chance. But if they're just talking regular smack, they're allowed to do that. What we don't want is slurs, any kind of bigotry or name calling, that kind of stuff. But like if we're talking about they're calling me fat or something, well, I am fat. It's okay. Not a big deal. Doesn't bother me at all. If they're, whatever they're talking about is fine. Let's just move on. Guys, I'm really proud of this team. I love the fact that they shut Deion up. I can't believe, am I overreacting to this? I can't believe they let him say that and then put it on the air before the game. So at the end of the day, man, it is what it is, I guess, with it. He's going to be competent in his guys, and maybe he really felt that way. I wonder if Rich Rodriguez and company heard about that before the game. If I was Mike Ostie, I would be asking that question, or whoever's in there. Did you know Deion said that they were way better than you guys before the game? I would definitely ask Rich Rod that question because he would have an answer. But anyways, all right, guys. One other thing really quick. So I'm going to put something in the chat, and if you guys could do me a favor, giving out $150 for this. So this is a $150 giveaway. The first 500 subscribers to my new channel, it's youtube.com/@college sports insiders 2026. It's in the chat now. So hit that subscribe button over there. And out of the first 500 people, we're picking one to give $150 away live on the show. Just trying to get that channel built up a little bit. It's a college football channel, basketball channel, where we talk about all sports. We did our first video yesterday. There'll be more today and other days on there. So just wanted to ask you guys to go check that out. All right, guys. So really impressed with this team. Looking forward to a lot of this week and just certain things about, the build to this Arizona State game. What's that going to look like? How is this Arizona State team playing when West Virginia, you got to go on the road to Tempe. So it's not going to be easy. I totally get that. And they're on a bye week. So I think it's truly, you don't think they were making a lot of notes today. They watched every second of that game, I'm sure. And for me and my money, I think West Virginia's got a shot, but we need to play a lot better on the road next week than we did today at home. And Arizona State's certainly capable of winning that game and making it ugly if we're not careful. So, Scotty Fox is going to have to play a cleaner game, obviously. And I think today he finally had some freshman moments that he can learn from. That's been my biggest worry coming into all these games now. I said it leading up to this game. One thing that worries me about Scotty Fox is that we haven't had any freshman moments from him just yet outside of the first, what was that, against Pitt or Kansas, where he threw 2 picks. We haven't, I think it was against Pitt maybe, but obviously I can't predict the future, but I do think this is something he will learn from and get better with. Colorado did a lot today on defense that I don't think we were expecting to. I was talking to a buddy that played college football, and he said that they're doing some stuff that they hadn't done all year in this game, and that's probably because they were playing against a freshman. So, I get it. I understand why. But certainly for me and my money, I would love to see him improve from this. And I think he can. I definitely think he can. So let's continue on with it and hope and pray that, this West Virginia team can get another win next year. And look, if you lose to Texas Tech last game of the year, if this team wins 5 games, that's actually a pretty good year one. That's not bad considering everything that's happened. When you go down your top 4 quarterbacks, your top 4 running backs, 81 new players, we've heard it all a million times. But I think that this team absolutely would have a lot of momentum going into next year, even if you lose the last 2. But that would kind of put a little bit of on the end of the year. Would love to go 1-1 down the stretch, or 2-0, which would be, now you're talking about if this team goes 2-0 to end the year, and I know it's a pipe dream, trust me, I get it. Look what Texas Tech did today. But you got a chance, right? You always have a chance. It's Rich Rodriguez coaching. And if you could somehow pull it off, you talk about surging into the offseason, maybe the most momentum we've had in a decade going into an offseason, off a 6-win season. But it's how you finish the year, right? So I honestly, let me retract that. The year after 9 wins with Neil Brown, going into that offseason, was the most hyped offseason I can remember in a while. But, this would probably rival that. And can you imagine season ticket sales and everything? You could build around Scotty Fox. You could promote him as this next level quarterback. But certainly maybe you would want to go another route and bring a guy in. But, either way, you're going to have something to build around. It's going to be great. Big ups to the team today. Really proud of them. Proud of Rich Rodriguez for that move with Curtis Jones Jr. I'm very proud of these guys. I really am. I can't say it enough. Hopefully you are too. And right here, guys, youtube.com/@collegesportsinsiders2026. Make sure you head over there and subscribe, and you absolutely can win $150. We'll do it live on the show. Send it to your Cash App, PayPal, or wherever you want. We're just looking for, the first 500 people over there. And we'll pick somebody of the first 500. I can see everybody that subscribes. I'll just pick somebody and send the money. We'll do the randomizer, the little wheel that spins. All right, guys, we're going to jump out of here. We got a couple other videos we're going to do here, but West Virginia with a big win, right? And we have a lot more to talk about. We'll see what Rich Rodriguez says post-game, see what Deion says post-game, see if there's anything to talk about with that. And then we can absolutely jump out and talk about a few other things going around football today. So, guys, make sure you check out Locked On West Virginia every single day. But don't forget Locked On Big 12, too. Drake Toll leads the country pretty much in views right now. He is absolutely crushing it, and I mean that in the best ways. He gets 20, 30,000 views a video over there. He kills it. And he's deserving of that because he's so talented. So, would love to see him continue that success. Thank you guys for joining in, and we'll see you on the next one right here on Locked On West Virginia. Don't forget to cue those country roads. See you next time.